Welcome back to Breaking Through with me, Kristen Raufinkbeiner, powered by Moms Rising. And speaking of power, and speaking of Moms Rising, we have two incredibly powerful guests coming on right now to share some very, very, very good news and some insights. We have MacKenzie Nicholson and Nancy Glynn, who are co-directors of Hello, the entire state of New Hampshire. Thank you so much for leading. And the entire state of New Hampshire, as you all know, also leads the nation in so many ways, shapes the narrative. Really, really, really powerful place. So, welcome, Nancy and MacKenzie.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thanks for having us.
thank you for being on. I want to ask all the things. So, I have so many questions. I'm going to start out with your favorite recent New Hampshire wins because you have been the architects of some really big wins in New Hampshire. And then, just to give some little, idea about what we're going to talk about, I want to talk about both of you winning local elections in New Hampshire recently because, hello, we're winning at the policy level and winning at the candidate level. So, rapid round. What are your favorite types of wins in the past? You could say 100 years. No, really, the past 2 years in New Hampshire. Nancy, do you want to go first?
I would say right now there's one that's fresh on my mind because last night we had our first fellowship meeting for 2026. This is going to be our eighth fellowship program in New Hampshire that we've been able to have. So that's phenomenal. And that's a huge win from coming in 8 years ago and getting this started and rolling to now have it be such a successful program today and to create such a community. That's probably my biggest win right now off the top of my head.
I love that win. MacKenzie.
It's a good one. It's hard to top that. As the sort of policy person over here, some of my most recent favorite wins, probably Momnibus 2.0, which we brought back from the dead many times during the last budget session in New Hampshire. But that was a package of 8 maternal health and workplace justice initiatives for, making sure that moms could go to a postnatal, prenatal appointment, kids could go to pediatric appointments with that time being protected. So that was a huge win for us here too.
That is a huge win. Okay, I have follow-up questions for both of you. Nancy, could you talk a little bit about the power of fellowships, particularly local fellowships and long-term volunteer engagement? Can you share with our audience a little bit about a sneak peek into what's happening?
Yeah. So one of the things I love about our fellowship is that we create community within New Hampshire by making these fellowships come to life. We're creating a space where moms and caregivers are able to learn how to be able to advocate and use their voices effectively, but even more importantly, doing it together and recognizing that we are all in these fights together. And that's probably one of the biggest pieces that I think is a takeaway from our fellowship programs, because every year, whenever we do them, we have more and more people joining into our community, more and more power that's coming out, more voices, more storytelling that's coming out of these spaces too. And it's always more fun when you can do it with a friend.
Yes.
So that's probably like some of the big pieces that I'm seeing. Folks are coming in and testifying at the State House. They're learning about the New Hampshire government structure, where they can really make their voices effective and do it in a way that they feel the most comfortable doing it. So, and because we've had so many amazing fellows go through our program, we have countless of opportunities for moms to be able to use their voices in New Hampshire. And I think that definitely reflects on some of the wins and some of the things that we're able to do here.
That's a great segue back to MacKenzie for the Momnibus win. So when we're looking at the Momnibus win, can you give our audience a little bit of insight about what is the political composition and vibe of New Hampshire? A lot of people have never been to New Hampshire. They do not know that New Hampshire is absolutely one of the most unique places on the planet Earth in terms of passing legislation. Now, I say this as somebody who does not live in New Hampshire and has actually been in the New Hampshire state legislature and was like, whoa, this is very different, for real, very different than most other places legislating. And I'm wondering if you can give people a context for the space in which fellows and moms across New Hampshire are advocating and winning on policies like Momnibus. Like, what's the political context?
Yeah, well, the vibe is really not good right now. We're in a sort of unfriendly trifecta, if you will, of a Republican state house, state senate, as well as our governor. And it's the Wild West up here in New Hampshire. We've got, I think, the third or I always forget the number. It's the second or third largest legislature in the English-speaking world. So we have 400 state reps and 24 state senators. And our Constitution was written in a way that your neighbors are supposed to be your representatives, and it's supposed to be an ultra locally run place, which is why it was such a great environment for the Free State movement to pick New Hampshire because of our citizen legislature. And we can talk more another time about what the Free State Project is, but it's essentially a group of people who moved to New Hampshire because they wanted to sort of overthrow the government and live a government-free life. And they have pretty much infiltrated our state legislature here. And so pretty unfriendly to some of the policies that we're working on, especially we know we need government intervention because the free market isn't fixing itself. So it can be really challenging here. And we, like I said, we don't have the majority right now. We actually have a super majority in the Senate. So it's really challenging up here, but we keep winning.
Exactly.
So yeah.
That part right there, the winning part. That's why I wanted you to share the context, because this conversation right here about helping to mentor and co-build future leaders, and you yourselves leading in New Hampshire, and the voices of moms, the stories of moms being powerful, is not theory that the voices of moms are powerful. The voices of moms are winning in New Hampshire against a lot of odds stacked against moms, and that is pretty incredible. So if you're out there watching or listening, I would like you to have a moment of hope right here. Give New Hampshire moms, MacKenzie and Nancy as well, a round of applause for just persisting, for not giving up, and for winning again in a political climate that is stacked against wins. I mean, it is really important. And I want to talk more about that, but I also want to talk about both of you running and winning. And MacKenzie, do you want to go first? What sparked you to run for local office, and talk about, what did it feel like to win? I have all the questions.
Thank you. Well, I'll be honest, it was my partner in crime, Nancy Glynn, who really inspired me to run. She's a hard act to follow, which you'll hear more about what she does later. So I truly still feel, like I need to step into a bigger role. But my town had 2 school board openings, and there were 2 mom candidates and a dad who was a homeschooler who really doesn't participate in our school's culture at all. So me and the other mom teamed up and kind of ran a campaign on mom power, and being too extreme. We were actually called Too Extreme, which I'm really proud of us for being extremely dedicated to our kids in New Hampshire and in Nottingham. So it was a really great campaign. I'm really excited to get started. I feel very blessed. Our school is a really great school to be a part of. And honestly, when I won, and Nancy's gonna laugh because she's gonna say I told you so, but I was like, oh, that really wasn't that hard. And I was like kind of not surprised, but just it really is that easy, I think. You just have to do it, and you just have to jump in. So yeah.
I love that you jumped in with other people too. It made it, I bet, feel a lot less foreboding.
Definitely.
Nancy, to you, what sparked you to run, and how's it feel winning again?
So I hold 3 elected offices for my town. So I'm chair of our library board of trustees. I'm also a select board member, the first select woman in over 20 years, first ever woman of color to hold a select board seat in my town. And then I'm also the representative on my regional school board as well. So between all of those, I think really it was honestly a lot of the work that I've done with Moms Rising and really recognizing the importance of our voices and having a seat at the table. And when an opportunity arises for a caregiver or a woman to be able to step into those situations, you need to take it. And you end up learning so much sometimes about random things that you really never wanted to learn anything about. But I'm one of those brains that likes to just continue to learn and absorb more and more and more. And this was an opportunity to be able to do that. We're also in a situation where, again, I mentioned first woman on the select board in over 20 years. And also we're looking at first woman representative on our school board as well in over 10 years. So to be able to see that the representatives that we had before happened to be of an older demographic, also happened to be white men as well. And they were completely out of touch with what families were really experiencing. It was a, you know what? I'm over here using my voice. Moms Rising taught me quite a bit on how to be able to do that. Now I'm over here inspiring other families and other moms to also get involved and share their stories and go forward and use their voices in the spaces that matter. So why not here too?
Why not? And you won. I'm
Mhm.
like, why yes? It's spectacular. So for people who are listening, and Nancy, let's go to you first this time, and are like, "Ooh, wait, you can do that?" What would be the first couple recommended steps for diving in?
So one of the things that I'll say, and this is the reason why Ken's made a comment about Nancy's going to laugh at me as to how easy it is, because realistically, I've been saying to folks, it's really not that hard unless you do all of them. If you recognize that the time commitment that you're going to be putting into this is going to be however much you're going to be able to put into it yourself, that's kind of a big thing to think about is, where do you want to go? What is your passion project? Because for me, I know that my passion projects on the town level as well as for the library level was to increase community involvement and also increase accessibility into our public spaces. So looking at that and on the school board side of things, again, trying to increase communication, but there's also kind of a divide right now with public schools as well as, when we're looking at funding from the state and how we fund education in New Hampshire too. So trying to be able to bridge the gap that's been put into place from all of that was another aspect of why I decided to run. So I say, think about what are the things that matter to you. And really just try it, and just see what happens. Because most likely you are going to make an impact no matter which direction you decide to go, what you decide to bring to the table. So I would say, think about what are the things that matter to you. Also think about how much time are you willing to throw in to be able to get to those goals and try it.
I love it. Find your why, then figure out your where you want to run, and then dive in. And to your point, Nancy, there's research that shows that often women run for office and then don't run again if they lose, but men run for office and if they lose, they run again and again until they win. So I love that you're saying just try it and then just keep trying. Don't give up if you lose the first time. MacKenzie, what are a couple of your tips? You just did this.
I think one was activating my community. I spent a lot of time considering, who I had seen being active in our policy and advocacy world. And so I was sort of thinking like, who can I activate that mom phone tree so that they can tell one person? So that was really helpful, is having a community of people who were really behind me. That was super helpful. And organizations too. There are many that help young people get up and running and then be successful when they're in their roles. And so we have support from great organizations in New Hampshire. And I was really excited when I got a mailer from one of those orgs for myself that I didn't even know was out there. And it was a supportive mailer, which was nice after seeing the one where I'm too extreme. So yeah, organizations, networks, and yeah, like Nancy said, find your why.
Find your why, find your where, find your how, find your who. I
Mhm.
love it. We only have 23 seconds left, you all. I want to talk for 500 more hours, but in closing, just a quick round of what's giving you hope, even though we're in this disastrous situation with headlines of doom. MacKenzie, do you want to go first?
What's giving me hope is the mom power that we're building, that we've sort of like started to cultivate. It's been coming along, but I think we're really on like a super fast, awesome path with who we've got and what we're working with. So just happy to see what's next.
Nancy.
What I think I'm the most hopeful about right now is that moms are paying attention. The moms are watching, especially here in New Hampshire and across the country. They are watching, they are aware, and more moms are stepping up to run for office, like what we have been doing. And more moms are stepping up to be able to support other moms to run for office. When trouble is happening, what do? You call your mom. So that's the way that you have to look at it. And so that's what's giving me a lot of hope is that people are realizing that more than ever, we need our moms.
More than ever. Thank you so much, Nancy and MacKenzie, for your leadership, for being on, for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.